Welcome to the All Sorts podcast, where we delve into the fascinating corners of history and beyond. Today, you're joining us for a truly unique deep dive, one that centers on a compelling historical enigma, forever linked to a moment that really altered the course of the 20th century. We're going straight into the mystery of the Babushka Lady, the unidentified woman present in Dealey Plaza on that fateful November 22nd, 1963, during the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. This isn't just about recounting events, it's about exploring a persistent, question mark in a well-documented tragedy.
The moniker itself, Babushka Lady, it immediately sparks intrigue, doesn't it? It comes from the distinctive headscarf she wore, a style so reminiscent of those worn by, elderly Russian women, babushka meaning grandmother or old woman in Russian. It's a seemingly small detail that in the context of such a significant event made her presence all the more noticeable, I think.
Absolutely. Picture the scene with us. Elm Street in Dallas, Texas, lined with people eager to see the presidential motorcade. And there, amidst this crowd, was a woman who would become a lasting enigma. What makes her so captivating, so worthy of our focus today, is this central, persistent question. Despite appearing in multiple films and photographs, clearly holding something to her face like she's recording, her identity has never been confirmed, and crucially, no footage from her perspective has ever surfaced. It's a void, really, in the visual record of a moment we think we know so well.
Yeah, and this deep dive, we've looked at quite a range of sources for you articles, meticulously detailing the known facts, the numerous theories that have, sprung up over the decades, and those enduring questions that continue to intrigue researchers and the public alike. It's a narrative woven from, fleeting images and enduring speculation.
Our mission today, as always with the All Sorts podcast, is to look closely at the details that matter. We aim to unpack what we can confidently say about the Babushka Lady, to explore the key questions her presence inevitably raises, and ultimately to understand why she remains such a compelling and frankly quite unsettling element within the broader narrative of the JFK assassination. So, let's begin with the fundamental question for you. What is it about this seemingly peripheral figure, a bystander in a cataclysmic event, that transforms her into someone who continues to fascinate and puzzle us so intensely? What's the hook?
That's a powerful starting point. I think a significant part of it lies in our inherent human tendency to seek a complete picture, especially when confronted with, a pivotal moment in history. The idea that someone was there, potentially capturing a unique visual record of something so monumental, and then seemingly vanishes, that absence creates a vacuum that our minds instinctively try to fill. It speaks to the power of visual evidence and the frustration of its unexplained absence, I suppose.
Okay, let's delve deeper into what we actually saw. Based on the available evidence, what can we say about the sightings of this woman?
Right. Examining the eyewitness accounts and the various film footages, most prominently the Zapruder film, of course, but also films by Orville Nix, Marie Muchmore, and Mark Bell, a consistent description emerges. She was observed as a, heavy-set woman, estimated to be in her late 30s or maybe early 40s. Her attire was quite distinctive for the location and weather. A tan or light brown long coat, almost a trench coat style, sunglasses, and naturally, that memorable babushka-style scarf tied securely under her chin.
And her location seems pretty significant too, doesn't it? She was positioned on the grass area between Main Street and Elm Street, right in front of the Dallas County building. And later, she's seen crossing Elm Street towards the infamous grassy knoll. That puts her in a pretty central spot.
Precisely. And what's consistently noted across multiple visual records is her posture and her actions. She appears to be holding something up to her face, in a manner strongly suggesting she was filming or taking photographs. This action, repeated in various frames, is really a key element of her mystique.
What I find particularly striking is the reported contrast between her reaction and everyone else's during the actual shooting. We hear about immediate panic, people ducking. What was her demeanor like?
This is a truly pivotal aspect, and it fuels so much speculation. While chaos erupted around her, people screaming, falling, fleeing, she reportedly remained standing, seemingly continuing to film or photograph with a remarkable degree of calm. Even in the immediate aftermath, as the motorcade moved on, she was seen walking east on Elm Street with what eyewitnesses described as a composed demeanor. This lack of a discernible panic response in such a horrific situation is certainly unusual. Does it suggest detachment? Or someone trying to document? It raises questions.
Right. And it's important to emphasize just how many of these amateur films caught her. Zapruder gives us that blurry frontal view. And then Nix, much more, her photos were apparently significant to the FBI and even the later Bell film. It really shows she wasn't just a fleeting glimpse, she was a consistent presence.
Indeed. And we shouldn't overlook the somewhat anomalous nature of her clothing for that day. a long coat and a headscarf. When the weather wasn't particularly cold or rainy, these details, while maybe minor, have added to the layers of speculation. Was the scarf just her style, or did it obscure her features?
So we have this very distinct individual seemingly recording one of the 20th century's biggest tragedies, and then nothing. This absence of her record, her voice, it naturally leads to a whole series of unanswered questions, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And in many ways, these unanswered questions are more compelling than any answers we might have. For instance, why did she choose that specific vantage point? Like we said, good line of sight, but slightly removed from the curb, deliberate. Or just where she ended up.
And the headscarf, again, we've touched on it, but why? Just fashion. Or another purpose, maybe making her harder to identify.
But the biggest question, the one that truly fuels the whole mystery, is why she never came forward. This was a huge event, massive investigation immediately. Why wouldn't someone with potential crucial visual evidence volunteer to the FBI or testify? The silence is, well, it's deafening.
It's truly baffling. What happened to her? What about any film or photos she might have taken? The FBI, despite trying to identify her from the footage, couldn't. It's like she just vanished into thin air after that day.
Adding another layer to this puzzle is that reported account from a film developer in Dallas. According to reports, a woman matching the description of where the Babushka Lady was standing brought in a blurry color slide of the scene, but never came back to get it. Was this her only attempt? Did something stop her from returning? We're just left with these incomplete bits of information.
Then, several years later, Beverly Oliver emerges with her claim. This is a crucial part of the Babushka Lady narrative, but it's also really debated, right? Lots of skepticism.
That's precisely right. In 1970, Beverly Oliver came forward, saying she was the Babushka Lady. She recounted filming the assassination with a Super 8 Yashica camera and claimed she gave the undeveloped film to two men who said they were FBI agents. Got no receipt and, crucially, never got her film back.
On the surface, it sounds like an answer, but there are some pretty big inconsistencies, aren't there? Issues with her story.
Several key discrepancies cast doubt. The biggest one is the camera timeline. The Yashica Super 8 she described wasn't commercially available until 1965, 2 years after the assassination. Her explanation, having an experimental model, but that's never been substantiated.
And then there's the age difference. In '63, Oliver would have been, 17? The Babushka Lady in the films looks considerably older, late 30s, maybe early 40s, and a different physical build, too.
Exactly. Furthermore, the House Select Committee on Assassinations in 1979, after their big investigation, found no record or film attributed to the Babushka Lady that matched Oliver's account. And Gary Mack, a noted researcher, testified in '94. He mentioned the story of a blurry film at Kodak, but didn't definitively connect it to Oliver. In fact, he considered her whole narrative largely fabricated.
The fact that Oliver was also reportedly an acquaintance of Jack Ruby, Oswald's killer, just adds another layer of complexity and raises more questions about her claims, doesn't it? It feels like pieces that just don't fit.
Precisely. While Beverly Oliver's story is definitely a well-known part of the Babushka Lady mystery, the significant inconsistencies make it very hard to accept her as the unidentified woman from that day.
So, given the lack of a confirmed identity, no footage surfacing, it's almost inevitable the Babushka Lady became fertile ground for conspiracy theories and speculation. What kind of explanations do our sources mention there?
Well, our sources show a range of theories, some more plausible than others. One prominent idea, fueled by that headscarf, suggests she might have been a Russian spy, maybe tasked with documenting the event during the Cold War. But it's crucial to remember, this is purely speculative, no concrete evidence. The headscarf, while distinctive, doesn't automatically mean espionage.
Another theory suggests she was some kind of operative, maybe U.S. intelligence. Her reported calm demeanor, the focus on recording. Some believe she was part of a government operation, especially within those inside job theories about the assassination.
Yes, and some more elaborate theories even try to link her to other enigmatic figures there that day, like the Umbrella Man, suggesting a bigger conspiracy. There are even more far-fetched ideas, like what she held wasn't even a camera, but something else entirely.
But isn't it also possible that the simplest explanation is the most likely? That she was just an ordinary bystander who, for whatever reason, fear, privacy, maybe just being overwhelmed, never came forward?
That's certainly a valid point. In the aftermath of something so traumatic and heavily scrutinized, an ordinary witness might have felt completely overwhelmed, maybe feared unwanted attention, or just wanted to process it privately. While this lacks the drama of conspiracy theories, it shouldn't be dismissed.
Ultimately, as our sources consistently emphasize, neither her identity nor any film she might have shot has ever been definitively confirmed. She remains an enduring enigma.
Her very presence, caught on multiple films, coupled with the complete absence of her perspective, has undeniably cemented her status as a key, albeit unknown, figure in the JFK assassination discussion and theories. Any footage she might have recorded could have offered invaluable, unique perspectives, potentially clarifying or maybe further complicating our understanding.
And the fascination continues. There have been ongoing efforts using modern forensics on the available images to try and identify her. But so far, nothing conclusive, just deepens the mystery.
In the end, the Babushka Lady really stands as a potent symbol of the many unanswered questions still swirling around President Kennedy's assassination. She's a compelling reminder that even in an event so intensely scrutinized, significant mysteries can still endure.
So, to summarize this deep dive into the Babushka Lady enigma, we have an unidentified woman recognized by her headscarf, present and apparently recording as tragedy struck the JFK motorcade. She's in multiple films, holding what looks like a camera, yet she never came forward, and her footage, if it exists, has never been found. Theories range from spy to overwhelmed bystander, and the lack of answers fuels decades of speculation.
Yeah, the core mystery remains stubbornly in place. Who was she? And what happened to her and her potential record of that horrific moment? It's a question that continues to captivate and contribute to the complex, often contradictory JFK assassination narrative.
And that brings us to a final thought for you, our listener. In our world today, saturated with cameras, immediate sharing, what does it mean that such a prominent witness, someone who maybe held a unique visual key to history, just vanished? What does her story, or lack thereof, tell us about memory, evidence, and the stories we construct about our past? It's truly perplexing, haunting even.
Indeed, a silent observer at a moment of profound historical significance who, through her silence and anonymity, became a powerful and enduring question mark.
Like the enigmatic Babushka Lady, countless stories and perspectives await discovery. If this deep dive into history's shadows has sparked your curiosity, imagine the other journeys we take here at the All Sorts podcast. Join us as we illuminate the unknown. Head over to YouTube, search for the All Sorts podcast channel, subscribe, become part of our community of curious minds. Share this exploration with fellow truth seekers. Let's unravel more mysteries together. Our archive is full of other deep dives on your favorite podcast platforms. Follow the threads of curiosity with us on X, Instagram, and Threads. Just search for All Sorts Podcasts and join the conversation. Your engagement really fuels our explorations and helps us bring more fascinating stories to light.